Hey guys, and welcome back to the Aether Hub and more Magic the Gathering lore. Today I want to talk about the future of MTG's story and a new world we're set to visit later in 2021. As we prepare to visit one of the most prestigious academies in the entire multiverse, let's preview and speculate on what could be happening at Strixhaven School of Mages. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. Well, Strixhaven, finally the Harry Potter inspired set we've been either begging for or dreading for years. No matter what camp you may fall under, Strixhaven School of Mages will undoubtedly at least pull on some themes very similar to that particular book turned movie franchise, for better or for worse. Now, while I would love to go into deep details of every little thing we know about this world and the potential story surrounding this set, we just don't have a lot of information right now. We know very little, but the bits we do know can help fuel some fun speculation, including what Planeswalker will most likely make a sizable appearance for this expansion story. Firstly, the Harry Potter comparison can't be lost because Strixhaven is described as the premier academy for the magically inclined throughout the entire multiverse. Not just the plane that holds this school, but any school on any plane that we know of. That includes the famous Tolarian Academy. So, you better watch your titles there, professors. Secondly, the school itself is broken down into 5 different colleges or disciplines who all interpret magic and its practice in slightly different ways. They all learn under the same structure, but what and how they learn can be vastly different. Think of the different houses in Harry Potter, essentially defined by the ideals held strongly by those in those houses, i.e. being brave for Gryffindor, or ambitious for Slytherin, or unremarkably mediocre for Hufflepuff. That same aesthetic will likely apply to these different colleges in Strixhaven as well, bringing us different color identities and different applications of their magical arts. Now moving into pure speculation mode, I really believe that we'll get hard monocolor splits between these Strixhaven colleges, with each providing their own magical prowess and competitions, much like Harry Potter's Goblet of Fire or their yearly house point system thing. Look, it's been a long time since I've read the books or even saw the movies, so don't vilify me, okay, Potterheads? So, much like those competitions in Harry Potter, these different colleges compete to prove which discipline is the best. So we must assume that they'll have vastly different practices, meaning wedges or even ally or enemy color pairings will just dip into other college identities, and it would really weaken this whole idea of a competition and comparison between them. I believe you'll see a blue college focusing on wizardry, mind control, manipulation, illusion. A red college focusing on physical enhancements, speed, and quick thinking. A black college focusing on curses, necromancy, and deception. A white college focused on healing, damage reduction, and control. And finally, a green college likely summoning monsters and animals. And probably the most cliche green abilities you could think of. But honestly, I just couldn't think of a cooler way a wizard could use green mana, so if you can think of something, just let me know in the comments. Moving on, why do I think this set will focus on monocolor identified colleges? Well, because we've already been introduced to a denizen, nay, a teacher from this university. Though many of you probably didn't catch her when she first appeared. And I don't blame you. This preview into the academia at Strixhaven was dropped on our laps with no fanfare and barely even a mention during the War of the Spark. Despite receiving cards in the set itself, this character didn't appear in the official novel, only making a quick cameo in some of the later follow-up articles online. But with all that said, it appears Kazmina is at least in some way tied to Strixhaven School of Mages. When Kasmina first appeared in War of the Spark, she was a buzz for speculation and theory crafting for me and plenty of other players out there. Who was she? How is she significant in the War of the Spark event? What would we learn about her as a Planeswalker? And unfortunately, a lot of those questions were never answered, despite getting a Planeswalker card and an associated spell in War of the Spark. The story really glossed over her like it did many characters involved in this decade-defining storyline, and as it turns out, she was only included as a means to tease players with her character in anticipation for our upcoming visit to Strixhaven. That explains her lack of story development and really participation in the War of the Spark. It was more essentially a marketing tool than anything else. Outside of that, what do we know about Kasmina? Well, from her cards and the little, and I mean little, blurb from War of the Spark, Kasmina is a mage mentor from the Strixhaven school. She was pulled into Ravnica during the War of the Spark thanks to the machinations of Nicol Bolas, who looked to steal the spark of her and many others. She's a quick thinker, displaying obvious cool-headed calculations of dangerous situations that could only come from years of study and experience. Kasmina quickly diagnosed the situation occurring on this foreign plane and gave aid to the heroes of the Gatewatch in the defeat of the Dread Horde. The magic Kasmina used in this war best reflects what I believe her and this blue college in Strixhaven teaches as a discipline to mages. She's seen polymorphing Dread Horde Eternals into harmless creatures like frogs, and even controlling their minds and actions. This is shown in her brief cameo in which she dominates the mind of an Eternal, commanding it to fight for her against its own kind. She's also often depicted with either an owl or another bird when a spell is cast. This may indicate that either Kasmina as a planeswalker has a certain affinity for birds, or that the magic she practices attracts them. Again, think Hogwarts and the familiar students get to choose. Being a school for mages, Kasmina having a pet owl seems very on flavor. Kasmina is known as the enigmatic mentor, meaning she very well could be the leader or at least very influential within her specific college at Strixhaven. She's most likely a teacher, one of mysterious lessons of arcane arts, teaching at such a high level that students are often lost in her lessons. I wish I could bring you more on Kasmina, but all we have is her school, her position in Strixhaven, and the discipline of polymorphic or mind magic in said college that she teaches. We also know that, at least based on appearances, Strixhaven's School of Mages is going to have some seriously classically dressed wizards and witches in it. Like, I'm talking straight up Gandalf or Merlin style clothing, which in terms of fantasy is going to be really on point for me as a player. Anyway, that's all we have in terms of information on Strixhaven's School of Mages. Still, there is some contention regarding the name of this set. It seems Strixhaven is not the name of an entire plane, but just the specific name of this school, which makes sense as it's literally followed by School of Mages and not Plane of Mages. And that leads us to a nice little debate. What is the plane that holds Strixhaven? Could it be a plane that we're familiar with, but haven't truly explored, such as Vryn? Vryn is the home world of Jace Baleron, certainly a skilled mage in his own right, similar to the discipline taught by Kasmina. While we have seen bits and pieces of Vryn in Magic Origins while learning about the youth of Jace Baleron, this would technically be the first time we actually visit Vryn in a set. Vryn's society is made up of powerful elite mages who use mana rings to channel huge stores of mana towards apex cities and centers of government, all in order to maintain power and control. They're mentioned as the true upper class of this plane, meaning that highly intricate systems of education would probably be in place to jumpstart those careers. Could Strixhaven be an academy of the elite mage class of Vryn? A school we haven't heard of from Jace's origins that he, under different circumstances, could have attended? How would it fit into the origin we already know of Jace and his home? Or maybe it's just part of a whole new plane yet to be explored. Either way, Strixhaven's School of Mages is set to examine a very niche idea in Magic the Gathering, the teaching of magic in its most fundamental forms, and I for one am here for it. And that, you guys, is going to do it for this video, a quick peek into what could be at Strixhaven U. If you want admission into this elite academy, make sure you hit that like button, notification bell, and subscribe to ensure you're always up to date on your class enrollment. And for homework, you can help participate in my next theory video by letting me know in the comment section below what you think the 5 colleges at Strixhaven could represent, and which one you'd most likely attend. I'll compile those, give credit to the commenters, and make an entire video of it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and until next time guys, see ya!